Good morning, everyone. It's very nice to be here with everyone this morning. Happy February, happy Sunday, happy Black History Month, happy Valentine's Day. Now, I don't know, some of you maybe, I don't think I'm the only one that has noticed this, but if you guys notice, the bird song in the mornings is changing. I'm getting lots of nods. We're getting, I think, lots of our little friends are coming back to be with us. Interestingly enough, too, and again, this might just be me, but the tweet seems to have kind of morphed into a three-peat. Maybe that's just me. Very exciting. And yes, Valentine's Day. And so I got one of these, these little boxes with the little hearts that have sayings and write, little words on them and things like that. So I got one of these. Let's see here. This one says, I love you. But it goes on to say, I love you without knowing how or when or where. I love you simply without problems or pride. Wait a minute. Okay. I love you in this way because continued on next candy. Oh, well. I'll have to get to that later. So the talk today, Love Expanding, in honor of Valentine's Day. And interestingly enough, I was just feeling very, very expansive this week as I was preparing for the Dharma Talk. Lots of folks I get to hear through emails or text messages and things. So many of our members of our community are having these expansive experiences. And I get to see and hear these, and it's very heartwarming to hear how the practice is really settling in and maturing for a lot of folks. So interestingly enough, there's so much we could talk about when it comes to the topic of love, right? So I had to do some narrowing. So it just felt so expansive. So I wanted to talk about love expanding, this property of love. So scientists know that the universe is expanding, but they don't know what it's expanding into. And scientists also do not know what love is. So I'm sitting here going, what if the universe were expanding into love? Now, this isn't as crazy as it might sound. I mean, one of my teachers used to say that waking up is seeing yourself in others. Well, isn't that going from the small self to something greater? Isn't that expansion? This is from the small to the great. And then also, so how many of our songs talk about how love grows, right? Growing is expanding as well. When we meditate, sure, oftentimes we may be seeking relief from suffering, but ultimately we sit to relieve all suffering. That feels expansive as well. So I'm actually having difficulty finding any aspect of love or even our practice that's not expansive or expanding. We hear from sages, poets, Hollywood directors that love is the natural order, the main attraction, the mover of nations, the bees in spring, the tender touch, the first and the last word. It's like gravity. It is a mysterious force that ties all things together. The vastness of the sky is equaled only by the vastness of our human hearts. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh tells us that learning to meet the mystery of love with the full realness of our being, to show up for love with absolute clarity of intention, is the dance of life. So our talk today is an invitation to expand, to grow, to include. Our talk today plays with this progression that we go through as practitioners, from awareness of self to awareness of other, to love of self and other, ultimately to know self and no other, leaving only love and awareness. So the talk today is going to be in this progression. So now also I do realize that for some folks, Valentine's Day can be triggering. It can be triggering for a host of reasons. Maybe you're not in a relationship right now, or maybe you're turned off by the commercial nature of the holiday itself. So I want to honor this reaction, but to also note that whether your heart is broken or whether your heart is armored, this can be a place of awakening. This can be a path to awakening. If we can deepen our attention, focus our awareness. As one famous teacher used to say, don't waste your suffering. So I want to start with this idea, this progression of self. And I'm actually not going to spend a whole lot of time on the first two. I want to spend more time on the third part. So let's first take a quick look at self. If it is the nature of love to expand, then it must have a starting point, right? A point or a place that it expands from. Hi, I see you. Love is the capacity within us to take care, to protect, to nourish. If you are not capable of generating that kind of energy towards even yourself, if you are not capable of taking care of yourself, of nurturing yourself, nourishing yourself, it is very difficult to take care of and nourish another person. In the Buddhist teachings, it is clear that to love oneself is the foundation of love of others. Love itself is truly a practice. And so now I want to move from there to other. And this is all going to tie together. If our parents did not love and understand each other, then how are we to know what love looks like, sounds like, feels like? The most precious inheritance that parents can give their children is their own happiness. Our parents may be able to leave us money or houses, land, but they may not be happy people. If we have happy parents, we have received the richest inheritance of all. And so walking this path of love, as with any endeavor, begins with having some clarity about what it is we are doing, why we are doing it, how we might accomplish it, and what obstacles we are likely to encounter. When it comes to relationships, it is surprising how reticent we are to think carefully about what we are doing, to have conscious discussions with each other about relationship itself, not necessarily about our relationship, just about relationship. I love how Eckhart Tolle always talks about my impression or my perception of me is trying to have a conversation with my impression or perception of you, and your perception of you is trying to have a conversation with your perception of me. So there's really 4 people here trying to figure this all out. So you understand why it can be so difficult. And I have always thought it so interesting that we really don't teach relationship in school. We don't teach relationship really hardly anywhere. We just kind of throw everybody into the pool and hope they get through it. So when it comes to relationships, it is surprising how reticent we are to think carefully about this, to have these conscious discussions about relationship itself as a human experience. What's fascinating is that we want the magic of falling in love, which is absolutely real, but then we cling or we attach to the hope that this magic will do all the work. And that's not the job of magic. Love itself arises via the mystery. The Noble Eightfold Path of the Buddhist practice speaks to what might be useful for whatever happens next. So the point I'm making there is that, sure, there is the magic, but relationship requires effort and work, research, a playful curiosity into understanding why not only does my partner say and do these things, but why do I say and do these things? Bringing a playful curiosity to understanding this helps the two of you to partner together when it comes to difficulties, challenges, conflict. Takes away all blame. It takes away all blame. It takes away villain. It takes away victim. And it helps us to partner together to understand our trigger points, which we often do not understand ourselves. So how in the world can our partners understand them? So again, I'm not spending a lot of time on the first two because honestly, that's your work. We are here to support you, to guide you. We have a lending library full of all kinds of wonderful books on how to do it. The Buddhist path and the practice is all laid out. So I want to transition now into the third part of this, and that is when self and other are gone, all that's left is love and awareness. Jack Kornfield reminds us that ours is not to change the world. Ours is to love it exactly as it is, with all of the flowers and all of the thorns. And interestingly enough, this then creates the change that it is we were working so hard to try to bring about. This is the difference between wise effort and more suffering. This deep teaching asks us to create change by starting within, which, for those who are still asleep, seems counterintuitive. Those who are deluded often want to bring about peace, even if it kills you. Fighting for peace. Bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? And so I get it. Don't misunderstand me. I get it. My heart seems to be getting broken every time I read a headline these days. I'm sad because there is so much inhumanity among humans, to each other or towards each other, to other species, to the planet. But at the same time, I rejoice in being with every one of you this morning. At the same time, my orchids at home are all starting to bloom. What was it Pablo Neruda said? You can pick all the flowers, but you cannot stop the spring. Do you understand what that means, especially in context with our time today, with our current affairs today? So we have a brand new baby Josie in our Sangha. Yay! And it seems like I'm just constantly happy and sad. And as long as you stay in the world of polarities, happy, sad, dark, light, positive, negative, prosperous or lack, good, evil, you cannot experience the richness of this present moment. You cannot respond from a place of love. In these difficult times, it does not help to be sad or angry. Resistance is resistance through joy. You have every right to be positive and to be strong. And there is no other way to do this than by purifying fear, greed, and hatred in your heart first. So that from that point on, what you bring to the table is not more fear, greed, hatred, separation, division, delusion, anger. What you bring to the table is love. I can have a difference of opinion and still love them. I can love the actor, but not the action. When we cultivate the courage to love completely, unconditionally, I'm not talking about human love. I'm talking about, as Jesus said, the peace that passeth all understanding. I'm talking about what Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh says when he says that understanding is love's other name. I'm talking about a much greater love. And so when we cultivate the courage to love, then it does not stop with us, nor does it end with your partner or your spouse, nor does it end with your children or a mocha frappuccino. Oh. It does not stop with good times or a stable government. No, it takes us over. And at some point, there is no one loving, there is only love. Love being alive. Love your creative, distracted, overworked mind. Love your anxiety and your sadness. Love your longing and your wisdom. Love your food. Love your pain. Celebrate your survival. Open your senses to the mysterious communion of life right here, right now, in this moment that is happening, that you are. You don't have a life, because then you'd have to protect it, and you'd have to worry every day about somebody messing it up. You don't have a life. You are life. Expand. Expand. Seeing yourself not only in others, but in everything. Love the natural world. Love the creatures of the world, the incalculably complex web that is teeming with earthworms and bacteria and bees and beasts that live and die. Love the often painful cycles of impermanence. In an incalculable process of creation and destruction, constantly swirling, living, flowing together at all times. And all of this happening down here on this little piece of star that's cooling and warming and warming and cooling. And you can start anywhere. You can start anytime. Isn't that a beautiful message? Don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for the right set of circumstances or criteria. You can start here and you can start now. Again, this is why the Buddha taught presence. The present moment is your key. Love men, love women, love gender fluidity, love tribes, love nations, love the unending varieties of human character and theater. Love is the Big Bang expressing out in all directions, boundless, endless. The freedom that love offers is based on the perennial renewal of love itself. Your whole life is a curriculum of love, always learning, always practicing. And so let's see, I think I have that other little piece of candy here. The first one said, I love you. I love you without knowing how or when or where or from where. I love you simply without pride, without problems. I love you in this way because, here's the other half of it, because I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way of loving but this, in which there is no I, there is no you, and it is all so intimate that when I fall asleep, your eyes close. Thank you.